Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Chart Request Live. Today is Tuesday. It is 1 o'clock. We do this twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on Stock Market TV. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed friend and co-host, Patrick Dunawilla of the Chart Report. What's up, Patrick?
Steve, how you doing? So it's a
I'm good, man.
little after one today. We got a little bit of a late start, but
It's
if you're joining us,
1:23.
thank you for your patience.
Full disclosure, we had an internal meeting about what we will be eating in New York City when we go for our conference next week. And you all want me on that meeting. Trust me. Anybody who's going to be in New York with us, you are benefiting from me being on that meeting. It ran a little late because we start talking food. JC and I can go anywhere.
You got a dinner planned or
There's dinner. I'm pushing for bagels one morning.
okay?
I'm pushing for a pizza lunch one day.
Hey, I like that.
You know, trying
I
to make
like
it
that.
happen. We're gonna jump right in. Are there any broader market developments going on that you would like to talk about before we dive in?
We talked about it earlier. For me, it's really about these regional banks here. What looked like a really nice textbook bull flag is kind of morphing into something that really needs to turn around quick, or else uh, things could get ugly. Now, I mean, this is kind of just a classic retest, but if this thing loses this level, then it's going to be bad, not just for regional banks, but uh, the Russell 2000 is an index that's been plagued by the weakness in the regional banks for over a year now, probably going on 2 years.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I'm really watching those regional banks. I think 60 of them report this week. That's a lot. There's no reason we need 60 regional banks.
And I like the way you've drawn this flag, right? Two parallel lines. You got an upper bounds, lower bounds, and look where it brings us right back to here today, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not typically an index investor, but boy, if this is something that was on my radar, what a nice place to enter a trade, right? Something
Yeah.
very,
And you look at some of the individual ones and they have a kind of similar look to them.
yeah.
Each one obviously has some nuance to it, but um yeah, that's the group to watch this whole week. I don't think we're going to get our answer today or tomorrow. I think we're going to have to wait to see how those weekly candles close.
I think that's a good point. You can look at the individual components after they report, see how they pick a direction, right? We have like Bank of New York today that reported last week, looks great, moved to the upside. Then you got other ones like Wells Fargo that got absolutely blasted. Citigroup fell back into their old ranges. So you can make a little list, and then you want to focus on the strong ones as always. I think, we talked about on the morning show this morning, this is really it for me for the banks, right? If you're buying any of them, I think you want to be buying them in an environment where JP Morgan is actually breaking out of this massive range. Uh,
Yeah, and that failed move here, whatever you want to call it, earnings reversal. That's nasty. And we gapped down and we are pulling up a little bit throughout the day, but still, that's not the place you wanted to see that thing fail.
and
Uh,
and to
so
be clear, with something like that, right? Like a line in the sand for a bellwether like that, that's not to say you can't pick the right regional bank and be right to the upside. Not to
absolutely, yeah.
what I am saying though is that your odds of success trading banks on the long side this week or even next week are much higher in an environment where JP Morgan is breaking out of the space.
Yeah, I would agree. I would
Uh,
completely agree.
to the chat, enough on the banks. Driving me crazy here today. Giovanni, Salesforce, CRM.
All right, let's do it. Sorry for some of these old drawings I have on here. Nice recovery here. I want to see how bad it was. Uh, wow, 60% drawdown. And you can see you
And that's a
don't
Dow
get it.
stock.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You don't get those kind of drawdowns in this name very often.
Or in
And here we
DoorDash.
are almost recovering here. You got to look at all-time highs at this point. I mean, we've already retraced a majority of that decline.
When I talk about this generational buying opportunity that we had last year or the year before in these tech stocks, zoom out, Patrick.
Yeah.
The last time you had a drawdown this bad, and this is Salesforce, one of the largest software companies in the world, zoom all the way out. I want to see the drawdown indicator.
Yeah, this is a monthly going all the way to the IPO.
So the only time there was a worse drawdown was during the Great Financial Crisis.
Yeah. And it wasn't that much worse than what we just saw, you know, is 10% worse or so.
So to have the opportunity in late 2022, even early last year, to buy some of the best stocks in the world, the best companies in the world, these tech companies down 50, 60, 70, 80%, right? What was Meta's drawdown? Throw up Meta quick.
Oh yeah, Meta.
It's just not something that happens too often. And you might have to wait another 10, 15 years for something like that. This is another great example. So I like the drawdown indicator. Sorry, keep going.
Oh yeah, I mean this thing, talk about a V-shaped recovery. This is just boom and boom, very symmetrical. I think Meta's probably got a lot higher to go because after a recovery like that, where so many people are, you know, in the position that we're describing, where they wanted to buy this name and now it's taking off, that's when momentum kind of takes over and creates that next leg higher.
Yep.
What do we got?
Stone,
Stone.
STNE, Brazilian fintech. Berkshire is a shareholder. They've been a shareholder.
All right. Starting off in a weekly here. This
Yeah, I
15.
think this is like payments, payment processing,
Okay.
mobile payments.
Yeah, this 15 level here, it looks like we broke it end of November here. We're holding it nicely. I mean, that's a clear level. You could even draw it further down here if you want to encompass that too. But I like that we're kind of even after this breakout move, we're kind of consolidating above it, not this like kind of sharp pullback here. As far as targets go, I'd be looking up here at this 30 level, which is quite quite a ways higher from here.
You know what I like? I like that it's up almost 5% out here today in a tape where its peers are really struggling.
Yeah.
Right, that really stands out to me. I just pulled up like iPay, ARC. It's a sea of red.
Did you
Uh,
say this one's software?
yeah, I guess it's software. It's payments, mobile payments. It's fintech.
Yeah, so you have the 38.2 retracement up here at 40. That seems very high here. I would probably be taking profits more at 30 here. This little congestion area to me uh, might be a problem once you get up there, but that's still a really nice move here. So I like this one. Pretty, and we can drop it down to a daily too, get a little closer look at it.
Is there a gap there if you pull up the daily?
Little bit of a gap here.
There's a memory gap. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I think where you have the rectangles drawn, that's a great trade.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit of a gap over here too.
Wavy McFly, Fire, Joshua Davila, DoorDash. Listen, listen, I'm a big Uber guy. Uh, so Uber Eats for me, but this base in DoorDash, I mean, looks like a lot of the bases that we've been buying since last year that have been working, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. And, you know, we'll drop it down to a daily here. Trying to get a good level. I would use this right here.
Yeah, me too. You know,
Yeah,
the
and
the gap solidifies that that's the level, right?
totally, yep.
The Q4 gap shown on the right-hand side of the chart tells us that's the level. Look at where it gapped to, right to those highs from August of 2022.
Yeah, I don't love this momentum divergence here, but also these divergences can last for a while, especially in a really strong uptrend, and they can kind of, you know, if they can keep you out of a good trend. So, yeah, I'll try and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt on here, but I would like to see it get overbought again above 70 there. But not bad. I would be buying pullbacks to here if I could. It's a little tough here because it's a little extended, but I would be looking at like this 130 level to take profits. You kind of have,
Then buying weakness back towards what, like 88?
yeah, yeah, 88,
Yep.
even, yeah, yeah,
Is there a
87, 88.
doctor? Not in this house. Taco Tuesday, not for me. No charts today. Doug, you sound crazy. Just the dancing girls. Sean K, I think they have mentioned Stone before and like the chart. Hell yeah. Listen,
Yeah, I think we
you
have taken a look
guys,
at Stone before.
if you come on here and watch this show every week, eventually you're going to realize, oh, that one's a buy, right? Because it
Mm.
looks like these other ones that are buys, right? So these reversal patterns at this point, they're so prolonged, they're very obvious. Anyone can spot them. So totally, if it looks like this, or if it looks like ARC or the IPO index, right? Yeah, probably buying it if it's complete. Pfizer, PFE.
Oh man, what a brutal one, huh? Got to go all the way out here. This is a fail breakout. You can
And
see,
we've done the look at Pfizer, now look at Merck thing on here before.
yep,
We won't do it today. The bottom line is this one looked like some other names in healthcare, and then they went one way, and this one went its own way. And you could put Bristol Myers also in the same category with Pfizer. It's just
yeah.
nasty failed base breakout.
You know, I think you really need to see this 26 level hold here. If it doesn't, then that's really ugly, but it's just tough. I think this is one where you want to, even if you're trying to, get a bargain on it, I think you want it to still prove to you that there's some sort of strength there. And right now, it's just not doing that. I'd wait for it to turn around and wait for it to prove to you that there's some strength there.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's really fizzled over the past 2 weeks here. 6% yield though. You know,
Oof.
this is
Wow.
still Pfizer. So listen, value
Is this one
investors
in the
probably have
Dow?
a field day,
It
but
is,
look at
right?
what?
Is this one in the Dow?
They booted it. They
They,
put it in
oh,
a
wow.
few years back. Okay. Ooh, sorry. I got lost here in the chat. Home Depot, HD. Speaking of
Okay.
bases, look at that. Already marked up. Don't even redo it. Perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Here, actually, I'm gonna take it all off here. Start from scratch because you never know how old those drawings are. It's always good to get a fresh look at the charts here.
Flip it to a daily.
Yeah, you're right. A little too.
I don't like how your rectangle tries to tell you where to put it.
I know. So there's actually a little magnet here, and you could change the strength of the magnet. I must have it on like super strength right now. But I think that's your clear level right here between 345 and 335. You can see, I mean, it was resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's starting to act as support here.
Yep,
Might give you a chance to get in again here, but it looks like that might have been it. And as far as targets go, I would be looking at a return to all-time highs. I think you play this, maybe, take some off here if the trade starts working and, you have too much size on or something like that. But I think this one, you play it back to all-time highs.
totally. Strong stock, really nice structure there. Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like a little over a month till earnings.
Sean, I'd love to see what they think with this bull flag breakout today. I don't know what name you're talking about. AMKR, MPWR. You get one. So we'll do monolithic MPWR, Pat. On weekly, charts both look great. Breakouts that are testing new floors now. Yeah, right. So you got the breakout and the retest. I like this one.
What
We
are
have
these? Are these like an industrial name or?
now it's semis.
Oh, wow. There are a lot of semis too. Just like regional banks where there's just a ton of them, there's a lot of semis.
You know what it is, right? Like they're chips. They're used in everything, right? So there's like a different semiconductor to specialize in every different thing, right? Even like
Yeah,
the solar energy companies are semiconductors because it's chips. Everything is so
right.
chip based. Um,
That makes sense.
there you go. You got
Uh,
the breakout and throwback.
yep, you already got it. I'd say 500, 550 is your level here. Nice 3-year base in the making here. Got the retest. I would fib it out for a price target. We'll drop it down to a daily after this. 752. Look at that, right on the penny.
All right, good. Next.
Oh, is that the stock?
No.
Oh, go
FSLR.
ahead.
Sorry. First Solar, FSLR. Speaking of solar stocks.
Man. Would you say solar is probably the biggest victim of higher rates,
Um, they're up there. They're in that conversation.
high growth industry? I mean, this one, not terrible.
They're dealing with a number of things too. They're dealing with pricing and the fact that they're not going to get subsidies for another 4 years too. So it's a it's a tough one for solar.
Yeah. A little bit of a topish kind of pattern forming here too. I don't love that. I mean, you could go in there and draw like a little head and shoulders, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, if we really wanted to, you see the idea though. I mean, that's a distributive pattern right there, kind of a topping pattern.
Yeah.
And you could draw the neckline right around here, this 115, 116 area, or all the way 110 to one. Oh,
You know,
that's a
one thing
pretty
I'll
big
say
one.
about this one is as bad as it looks, as right as you are to say all of that, chart it against its peer group now. Let's look at
That's true.
FR TAN because the way that some of these other solar stocks have fallen actually make this thing look pretty damn good.
That's a good point. Yeah, and if you had to be long solar, this is probably the one you wanted to be in. Um, but even then, I don't love this kind of crusting action when it just broke out. It's
And
tough. I mean, this is why solar is just such a dog of an industry, right?
the most important thing you just said is if you have to be long solar, 99.99% of us, we're very lucky. We don't have to be long solar, right? It's like Spencer, he comes on the morning show, he talks about pot stocks every other day. I don't know if someone is forcing him to be long pot stocks or why he's even thinking about them, but that's like kind of how I think about solar today. Like they don't really cross my mind.
Right.
They're
I mean,
that
they
bad.
haven't been an area of strength in probably 5 years, right?
Yeah. All right. What's for lunch? It's a secret. ELF. These cosmetics companies. I mean, this one more than
Oh
that.
boy. Look
Just
at
look.
that. We already have it marked up.
This is
I
just so
mean,
good.
yeah, I think you use Fibonacci as your roadmap here, and you could kind of change it to do it on a closing basis here, create like a little range almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the fib ranges.
The fib
I like
ranges.
that. Listen, this one is kind of where are you going to define your risk right now? Right? It's in no man's land here.
Yeah, it's tough. And it is very extended. I mean, we look a little bit closer here in a daily. Very tough to be buying it up here. I think if you really had to get involved, I would be using this 130 level,
Yeah, you could
buying
have
a
bought that
pullback to
before.
here. But again, you already kind of got the check back here. So that's a really tough one. It's a beautiful uptrend, and we talk about it all the time. Some of the nicest trends are the hardest ones to trade because they just keep going. They don't really give you a chance to get in.
Yeah, Jason, some color here on the request. Next 3 to 6 months, I'm loving it and hoping can keep it up. Sounds like you're already long. For something like that, if you want a trailing, I think Pat just wrote, just drew you a really nice level, right? For a little stop, you could just use a trailing stop, right, and protect your profits that way. You can use VWAPs from the pivot lows here. Pat, if you were to drop a VWAP at the
Yep.
October lows, and then again at just the lows from like last week, right?
Yep.
You could use all these different, signposts along the way. But I think the bottom line is something like that, a chart that looks this way, you're probably already in a nice profit position. You probably want to keep it tight and maybe even feed the ducks a little bit on something like this.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Like basically it's if you're already in it at this point, it's trade management. It's how do I protect the gains that I have, and the VWAP is a great way to do that. When it breaks that, there's some sort of loss of momentum. So You get out, protect some of those profits. I'd definitely be taking a little bit of profits around here, depending on your time frame. Now, if you're longer term investor, don't completely ignore what I said, but yeah, this very, very strong trend here.
There's a lot of talk from like a trader wisdom standpoint, right? We have a lot of smart trader friends that we're also talking to, right, on a day-to-day basis. Here's so much about keeping losses small, right? All these great traders, they'll tell you to keep your losses small. You also want to protect your gains.
Yeah,
Don't give back
absolutely.
wins, right? Don't turn a win into a loss ever. Now,
Yeah.
that's a double-edged sword because in protecting your gains, you might expose yourself to, cutting ties with something that's not done running.
Hmm.
And another thing, trader wisdom that you hear a lot is letting your winners run.
Yeah.
You want to find some sort of a process or some sort of a way where you can let your winners run, but also protect any gains that are already there. It's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, that is the delicate balance, right? That's the conundrum.
It's going to look different for everybody. There will be a trade-off, right? You might think you're protecting a gain somewhere, take profits, and then something keeps running. That will happen to you, but you need some sort of process in place. You definitely don't want to take something that's up 30, 40, 50% and let it roll back over, to zero. That's not a winning strategy.
Yeah.
So what do we have next? New York, bagels and pizza. Yes. Uh, OP. Yeah. All right. Oh, do optimism for Josh here.
What's the ticker?
OPUSD. OPUSD.
Ooh, Steve, you might want to break this one down.
I'm
You
in
want to
it.
take this one?
I was adding to this one last week. Um, I still find it interesting. I think that's it right there. Three and
Yeah,
change.
this is one of those newer cryptos too.
So listen, you could buy weakness back towards the breakout level around three. I'm going to completely ignore that first candle on the left hand side. Draw
Yeah.
right through it. It means nothing to me. And then I think you can draw some resistance here at the pivot highs, just in this little multi-weaker.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. Strength above the pivot highs, weakness back towards the prior cycle highs.
Yeah. I wouldn't be in it if it's below like 290.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to be in it, but yeah, that's really the playbook here and really nice base. Really nice base. And some of these new ones, you definitely want to keep your eye on them if crypto really starts getting going again, which it really has. It's just these last few days that have been kind of rocky. Um, Something like this could really run, right?
This has been a leader, short term and long term. Next, Prologis, PLD, back to the stock market.
Back to the stock market. Looks like I already got some drawings here. Nice long-term uptrend. That's almost a decade right there. But that's your clear level. I mean, there's no point in redrawing it. It's right around 140 or I'll call it 134 to 138. That's your line in the sand right there. You can see we've tried. This time I wouldn't call it a rejection just yet, but certainly not a breakout. If you finally get it, I think you probably play it back to all-time highs here, around 165, 170.
And if you were to flip to a daily, you'll see right at the base breakout level where we kind of paused a few weeks ago. Just a nice little coil, call it a flag.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a healthy flag. We were talking about some of the flags in KRE, and those are like kind of retesting. Those look kind of sketchy, but this one looks completely healthy. It's barely retraced that kind of uptrend that preceded it. That's what a nice healthy flag should look like there.
Yeah.
And we've tested that level several times already, so you got to imagine it's getting weaker and weaker. I think you do get the breakout pretty soon. And yeah, play it back to 170-ish. Do you know what they do?
What?
Do you know what they do?
Data center.
Uh,
I think so.
oh yeah.
PRI. Sorry, Wavy. We missed your email. Sorry, man. PRI. That's from Wavy. long.
Is this Primerica? Oh gosh. Man, I already got half these marked up. I swear next time I'll remove everything. But I mean there it is right there. So you got a nice base breakout last year, kind of a pretty choppy one, right? Where you broke out and then you gave it back and then you reclaimed it. Kind of reminds me of the home builders. A lot of setups like that in home builders and semis. Um, I guess that's what happens when you retest levels of overhead supply like that. But here we go. We're setting up again here, right near that first Fibonacci extension of this base. And we've formed like another little base since August here. Base on base, Steve. You like that?
Listen, this one looks as good as any of them.
Yeah. Primerica, that's a insurance company, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's this one's setting up to go higher. And this is how long-term uptrends do it, is they'll break out like this, run, and then consolidate. And it's amazing how like the actual time spent making the gains is so short. And usually I mean, you're actually only making progress probably 15% of the time.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time you're just moving sideways on a lot of these trends. Obviously, I'm generalizing here, but
Yep.
so this one, if it's over 220, I think then you fib it out again. And this
What's the target?
240,
All right. Good.
I like it.
I mean, listen, that's not going to pay you much. So you might want to just measure that base out.
Yeah.
That,
Would you do it with options or?
no, I would just measure the base out. That price
Oh,
target.
you're looking for a measured move?
I need more of a reward. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine though. Wavy will figure it out. Let's move through these because we got to finish soon.
Sure.
Palo Alto Networks, PANW. I was listening to their CEO this morning and just absolutely loved what he was saying. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Said they're going to be at the forefront of everything in cyber, which they're there now, from an industry leader standpoint. And they'll have something to do with any of these new cyber areas. And if they can't build it, they'll buy it. I
I like
just
it.
love that attitude from a tech CEO.
I like it. But we are, it's been a beautiful trend and we are kind of approaching this fib level. And you can see when we've approached them in the past, we've kind of just stalled, retested the prior breakout level. So it's possible that we pull back, retest this before we can muster up the strength to break beyond that 330 level. But after a nice run like this, I don't think you want to be buying here. Hopefully you're in it and you're already long. This would be a good place to take some profits off the table. I mean, it's had a really beautiful run the last week. I
Listen,
mean,
we bought that consolidation breakout late last year, and this is where we want to be sellers. Absolutely. This one
yeah,
has had quite the run. I'm not saying it's done, but these stocks, the leaders today, look a little bit different from the rest of the market. I would be a little bit wary, expecting too much more in an environment where not enough stuff is participating in the short-term trend higher some of these leaders have seen.
yeah. I mean, this one just absolutely resilient here. What else we got?
Can you look at Mankind, MNKD? So this is a bio, so that's a good conversation.
Definitely.
New price target of 750. Right now at 350. Not sure what happened here. I don't know what that means.
I mean, this one is just real kind of messy. I think you could draw a range here.
This is dead money, dude.
Yeah, this is tough. I remember this one from years ago.
This has been a fan favorite. I've been hearing about this one for as long as I've been trading.
Is this a pot stock or
I don't think so.
no?
I have I know when they're like too popular. You know what I mean? I have a good radar for that. Like these story stocks.
Oh yeah.
If my buddy who I know hangs out in some strange chat rooms is constantly asking me about cassava biosciences, and then it's like him and four others that are all junkies, I'm like, okay, this is a story stock. And it'll come up a few years later, be like, ah, that one.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. If biotech actually firms up again, which we haven't seen in about a decade, uh, if biotech starts to perk up again, you're going to see probably a lot of fraud come to surface again. Because biotech, it's just such a right playing field for fraud because most people don't understand it at all. And that stuff happens all the time, unfortunately.
There are strategies, like just copying Baker Bros that we can employ. All right. Airline stocks, dumpster fire. You want to just throw up jets real quick and just address that
Sure.
real quick? You get one more after this.
Yeah, so I'd have to look in a little bit further here, but this is a weekly chart, but
They,
a
they
lot of this probably has to do with Boeing, right?
I think
Is it in there?
no, I think they put the kibosh on that merger.
Oh, which merger?
I said was going to happen. I was complaining about it on the morning show. Saw this coming from a mile away that they were going to block this deal. I think it's pretty terrible to block deals in an industry that can't make any money the way it is.
Oh yeah.
I get it. They're looking out for the consumer. The consumer experience is already bad, and I can't imagine it could even be much worse for these low cost carriers. Like I can't imagine how it gets worse. So I'm not really too concerned about the consumer. Let these companies try and make some money. Let them get together. So I think that's too bad.
Yeah, and
They'll
look at this thing. And this is going back to inception. This has just been a mess. It's never really uh given you a reason to buy it, or at least a good one, and never really recovered from COVID either, this group.
And also just from an antitrust standpoint, just this won't be the case forever, but we got a real tough one at the helm right now. I believe the FTC wants to block everything, but wants to block everything. Doesn't want any business to happen. Wants doesn't want capitalism either, probably. But I don't think that's going to last for very long. So hopefully we'll get into a place where these companies are more encouraged to do deals and the government is actually kind of behind them because that would be nice, right? Because it's America. So next we have Disney and then we're done.
All right. Disney has been a brutal one. And you look at it on a relative basis, it's even worse. Uh, it is kind of at this level here. Again, this is one where I think you want it to prove to you that it's really reversing, and it kind of is a little bit. First of all, if it did find support here at this 78, 79,
You
now
got
I
to
don't know
start
if you want to,
somewhere.
what's that?
Got to start somewhere.
It's got to start somewhere. You could call this a flag, I think. Let me just get my,
Falling wedge.
is that what you call it?
No, I stay away from the wedges.
Yeah, you could draw a little flag here. I don't love that there. Typically with a flag, you want to see a nice uptrend preceding it, and you really don't have much of that. We can zoom in a little further here. Not bad. As far as upside, I would, you got this gap here, this earnings gap. That could take a while to fill, but if it breaks this, I think that's the objective you want to see. I think you want to see it go up, retest 100, and see how it behaves from there. But from a bigger, longer term perspective, I mean, it held where it was supposed to. It's just there's just not that oomph there right now. Again, I have no idea what your time frame is. Maybe you're sticking this in the grandkids, um, long-term account or whatever. But that's a totally different story.
Which
But
I wouldn't hate, right? If you told
yeah,
me that was your plan, I'm buying Disney and it's going to be my kids one day, 10, 20 years from now. Yeah, it's Disney and it's been absolutely battered, right?
yeah.
We just, as a technician, like Pat's saying, still kind of tough to get behind. Brian
Yeah,
Love,
and this is its relative strength, right? So Disney versus the S&P 500 over the last decade, and it's really just kind of been a downhill battle. So it's tough. I would wait for it to prove that there's strength there. Maybe look at the ratio chart and maybe draw a downtrend line like this. just look for some sort of proof. Make the stock work for you and make it prove to you that it's worth buying, that there's actually buyers there.
This was awesome as always. Shout out Danbury, Joshua, love it. Thank you guys all for joining as always. One question for Stephen Patrick. How old were you guys when you first started trading? Any
Oh
advice for a
boy.
22-year-old looking to trade full time one day? I was right around your age. Been trading for almost 15 years now. What will I tell you? There's far easier careers that you could find. Have
I think it really takes the certain personality. I've always said there's two types of people. One, when you take that first loss, you're either going to say, this isn't for me, and you're just going to index, or you're going to say, there's something to this. I got to figure it out. And that's the personality type that you got to have.
try it. It's a journey. Like Patrick saying, it's gonna take you some time to figure it all out. You're gonna hopefully fall on your face pretty early on, right? You know, uh, blow up your account. You learn
Yeah,
a
I was
lot.
going to say, I always love the advice JC gives to people. Blow up as soon as you can
Yeah,
because you
blow up
learn
early.
your best mistakes. I know that sounds funny, but you learn your best mistakes from just experience, or you learn your best lessons
You
from
know,
experience.
and listen, I'll just say 99% of people are going to fail. It's tough. Try it. I think everybody should try it. But if it's not for you, also be able to just come to terms with that, right? For me, it
Totally.
was a
Yep.
long time where I thought, I love this, I'm passionate about this, but maybe it's just not for me. It's only been 5 years now where I'm very comfortable. I found my process. I'm kind of in my zone here, and everything kind of changes, right? But getting to that place takes a lot of hard work and really just strength mentally and emotionally because
Oh
you're
yeah, I
really
mean it's such a mental game. I think, in that scenario, you don't want to be in that position where you're desperately looking for trades and you're, trying to find that. That's a bad place to be in, at least I've found. Um, that was probably the biggest shift in my trading is waiting for the pitch to come to you and saying no to as much stuff as you possibly can. Um, and just wait for an idea to be so good that it would be irresponsible not to take it, you know?
this is really good stuff. We got another show coming on at 2. If you want more of me and Patrick and Chart Request Live, please tune in Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Until then, morning show every morning, myself, JC, and Spencer from 8:30 to 10. Thanks everybody for joining. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you guys.